Hi everyone, Christina Roberts again at Liberty University Online. This week's discussion board will focus on the legacy of Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson, of course, was our third president and author and signer of the Declaration of Independence. However, his life was not entirely absent of controversy, as it was rumored for many years that he had fathered 6 of Sally Hemings' children, which was one of his slaves. It seems that the debate was settled through the modern technology of DNA. The research committee at the Thomas Jefferson Foundation concluded that it is a high probability that Jefferson fathered Easton Hemings, and it is most likely that he had fathered all 6 of the Sally Hemings children. It's difficult to ascertain the extent of the relationship between Jefferson and Sally Hemings. We know that she traveled and stayed in Paris with him for 2 years, and she was a maidservant and companion to his 2 older daughters from a previous marriage. However, was the dynamic of the relationship one that Sally Hemings just felt obligated to, or was there a true husband and wife dynamic that just couldn't go public due to the law and the social repercussions? The answer to these questions can never be stated with absolute certainty. And so another question arises in that, does this relationship discount Jefferson's previous work and legacy? I do not believe that it does, as it's important to keep in mind that the founding fathers were fallen men just like the rest of us, and their work must be examined outside of their moral failings. So when looking at the legacy of Thomas Jefferson, I believe the most important aspect is his contribution to religious freedom and protection. The reason why I believe this is so important is due to the recent historical interpretations that have misrepresented Jefferson's stance on the view of the separation of church and state. It was Supreme Court Justice Hugo Black that caused Jefferson's phrase to reemerge in the New Jersey case Jefferson versus the Board of Education. The issue was, did taxes that were used to reimburse parents that used the public transportation to send their kids to religious schools violate the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment? Ultimately, the court ruled that it did not. However, Justice Black did set a precedent when he applied the Establishment Clause at the state level. He acknowledged the historical context of the colonial religion in that taxes were imposed to pay for clergy, and he also stated that the established church had, quote, achieved dominant influence in political affairs. He goes on to state that the people had reached the conviction that, quote, individual religious liberty could be achieved best under a government stripped of all power to tax, to support, or otherwise to assist any or all religion. He later uses Jefferson's separation metaphor to declare that it had built an impregnable wall that could not be breached. Historian Daniel Dreisbach examines if this is what Jefferson intended in regards to the separation of church and state. Did it mean that the government could not even acknowledge religion at all, as implied by Black? Or could the government influence religion in any way? Dreisbach suggests that Jefferson promoted a more accommodating view. And in order to understand this accommodating view, Dreisbach highlights the purpose in the revisions of the Virginia laws. There were 2 primary reasons that he highlights. First, to promote a total separation from England, and second, to strip the existing legal codes of remaining vestiges of monarchical rule. It was in October of 1776 that Jefferson introduced a proposal to revise Virginia's legal code. There was a committee appointed, however, it was Jefferson that had done the majority of the work. Out of the 126 proposed bills, there were 5 consecutive bills that were devoted to religious causes, under which Thomas Jefferson was the one who drafted them. In Bill number 82, Jefferson addresses an almighty God who created the mind free, and he also addresses the issue of taxation. In this regard, he states that it's sinful and tyrannical to compel a man to support a religion which he disbelieves, and even to compel a man to support a religion in which he does believe. This principle is consistent with the biblical verse which states that each man should give what he has decided within his own heart in 2 Corinthians 9:7. This bill is the one that is most cited to support that Jefferson had a strict separatist view. However, Bill number 84 prohibited force of labor on the Sabbath, and as Dreisbach points out, the use of the word Sabbath is important as it is an isolated word used in the Judeo-Christian religion. Bill number 85 was a bill for appointing a day of fasting and thanksgiving, and this bill was not enacted. However, it was endorsed by Jefferson, and again, it places doubt on the strict separatist view. The legacy that Jefferson left in regards to religion is one in which it protects religion under the First Amendment. His original statement, separation of church and state, was found in his letter to the Danbury Baptists, and it was intended to protect their religious freedom, not to restrict influence in the public square.